All right. Um, well, let's go ahead and get started. It's 101. Thank you all for joining. We're excited about this one. This is a slightly different webinar than what we've done in the past. We'll be going over a bit of you know, Ekotrope as a product, what were some of the things that we did in the last year. What are some of the most highly requested features and improvements from our recent user survey? And what do we have planned for next year, or for, I guess, 2026 this year? We'll also go over a number of maybe smaller improvements that you may have missed in the last year. Uh, and we'll also do a deep dive into Ekotrope versions and Ekotrope builds. What is the difference between those things? What do they mean? What resources do we have to help navigate those? We'll talk more in depth about those as well. So, yeah, these are the five main topics for this webinar. And again, there will be time at the end for questions, so feel free to leave questions in the Q&A section, and we'll get to them either during or at the end. All right, so want to start with 2025 in review. So uh, Ecotrope, we a lot of change in the industry, and that included Ecotrope as well. There was a lot that happened in the last year. So some of the things that happened or were launched in the last year is we rebuilt the kind of back end of how the My Projects page works and increased its um, speed quite a bit. If you remember, if you used to have to, if you were scrolling down a long list of projects, it used to stop on a regular basis. That has pretty much gone away. You can search for multiple project IDs. We added a fair amount of functionality to the component library. We added some batch modifications. Uh, Big one was product listings. We started doing product listings for mechanical ventilation. We added the AHRI link, and we did quite a few security improvements to improve the security of our platform. Few speed and stability improvements. I'm not going to get into the details here, but we track how quickly uh, actions take to load, or how long it takes them to load an ecotrope. And also we track downtime, like any instances where the app might go down or certain parts of it might go down. Um, we saw year over year, our app latency went down from about half a second to 0.2 seconds. So our platform became faster. Also, our average amount of downtime in terms of instances where our app is not performing uh, has basically been cut in half. There was a large event that happened in October in month 10, as you can see, and that was a nationwide AWS outage that I think that's happened. Maybe that was the first time something like that had happened since about 2016. So that type of event is atypical. So this was a big emphasis for our team in the last year. A few other things that we've added. The component library. You can now search the component library based on efficiencies and whether or not a uh, library entry is verified. And then you can also do batch deletion. So hopefully this helps folks, do some component library cleanup. And I know this has been a page that's been needing a facelift for quite a while. So it got a fair amount of improvement sent its way this year. Another one, you can now search for multiple project IDs. You used to only be able to do one. You're now able to have multiple project IDs separated by a comma, and it will show those specific projects. Um, we did release a batch modification for the codes and programs tab. So if you have large batch projects and you want to check or uncheck the Rater field checklist box. You can do that now in the app. We have more batch modifications planned for 2026. This was uh, a big undertaking, this one, so we're glad we were able to get it across. Um, some of the new energy codes and programs we supported in 2025, we launched IECC 2024, HERS H2O, Energy Star Single Family 3.3, and then energy codes in Florida, Southern Nevada, West Virginia, New Mexico, and several codes in Texas. Um, and this year, I think we've already released Alabama in beta, and I believe the new Massachusetts Energy Code was just released in beta. We should also have Pennsylvania and New York energy codes here out soon. We're working on those as we speak. So, always working on new codes and programs. I think Illinois is also pretty high on our to-do list. So we'll keep working on those, and keep letting us know when there's new and upcoming energy codes that you need supported. Okay. So every year we do a annual survey, um, and we take the feedback from that survey and we go through it and we kind of try to rank what are the most requested things. Uh, what what are uh, what are the things that our users want us to focus on for the next year? So we wanted to peel the curtain back a little here and share some of that. And then this is going into 2025. What were some of the most requested features? Well, the top two were speed and stability. And then batch modifications. Uh, Speed and stability, we spent a lot of time and resources addressing, and we made progress there. There's obviously still progress and improvements to be made there, but we think the app is in a much better state than it was a year ago. Um, then we added codes and programs, batch modifications. We're planning on adding mechanical equipment this year. That's a big one for us. A few other things we were able to support this year, more useful error messages. We expanded how our error messages are created, and they should be more descriptive now. They shouldn't just be like contact support. You'll still get that sometimes, but they are less frequent. Most of the time, there will be useful information in the error message, and we did add component library search. So uh, these are some of the other, the ones not in bold are some of the other ones uh, we weren't able to get to this year, but we have plans moving forward. Okay. Ekotrope can improve by dot 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 2026. So um, in November, December, at the end of last year, we ran our annual survey, and over 10% of Ekotrope users responded, which is incredible. That's really great. We would love that number to be higher, but 10%, that's you can really take information away from that level of engagement. The survey had three questions. Would you recommend Ekotrope? Do we support your energy code? And Ekotrope can improve by dot dot dot. And that was an open text box. So, the first question, that's just sort of a generic customer satisfaction uh, metric that we use. I think over 90% of respondents said we did support their energy code, which is great. And some of the ones that I mentioned earlier are the ones that were requested. And then the main one was Ekotrope can improve by. We had hundreds of responses to this question, and we read through all of them. We tried to categorize them and come up with a list of, okay, what are the top things? We really appreciate your feedback, and it really does inform our decisions and our priorities for the year. We can't address every request and every concern, but we really dedicate time to this. And like we did a presentation internally where we shared a lot of information and things we learned from the survey. So um, your feedback is heard. We really appreciate it. So these were some of the things we heard in our most recent survey in November and December. Uh, The main one was, too many updates. And the main two things here is concern about the daily updates, the new build updates, and then better communication around algorithms and just less frequent algorithm changes. So I'll go into a lot of detail on both of these things here shortly. Um, Another highly requested thing was more batch functionality. That's been a request for a long time, and uh, a, we have a lot of dedicated uh, time in our development roadmap to batch functionality this year. Um, the window UI, so user interface, so basically the fenestration tab in Ecotrope, uh, can be difficult, and there's some improvements we're planning there. Likely we'll start with some kind of smaller, minor improvements, and then later on in the year we may be able to do um, some larger improvements there. Uh, Adding AHRI matching and lookup, that was highly requested. That's something we're actively working on now, where if you enter in a model number into the mechanical equipment component, we will work to match it with an AHRI documentation. So we're really excited about that, and hopefully it can help save your team time. Another highly requested thing was more product listings. Uh, we launched product listings for mechanical ventilation. I think just this week we released product listings for mechanical equipment. So we expect there will be more to come in terms of product listings, and we're excited for that. Okay. So let's dive into Ecotrope versions a little bit. What are they? What do they mean? What resources do we have? What do you need to know? Um, so I'll start with the difference between a version and a build. So if you are using Ecotrope and then you close your laptop, go to sleep, wake up in the morning, open your laptop, uh, you may see a message like this at the top of your Ecotrope page. A new build of Ecotrope has been deployed. To get the latest build, please save any work and then refresh the window. Um, this is a build. This is not an algorithm version. So these new builds, we have a lot of tests in our software development platform that ensure that these new builds are not impacting compliance results or modeling results. Um, that is what the algorithm version is. That's where that happens. So these new builds are not going to change your compliance results. Um, and these are small changes that improve the speed, stability, and functionality of RATER. So, you know, as we make any small tweak, any thing that we do, like some of those tweaks that led to the improved performance of the app, those are released through this build, new build structure. So that's why we have builds, and that's what they do. They do not impact results. So why are algorithm versions necessary? So this is like version, 5.2.2, I think is what we're on right now. There were a lot of new versions released last year. Generally speaking, new versions improve the accuracy of the energy model. They make the algorithm, the math calculation that, determines compliance more representative of reality. That's generally true. Um, Almost all of these updates are required by ResNet to for Ecotrope to maintain our status as an accredited software. There are also a number of smaller changes requested by programs, such as, if Energy Star releases a new version or a new revision, that may lead to a minor version update to comply with the updated version of Energy Star. Or, we've released minor versions to support other green building programs like NGBS. And then there are occasionally bugs found in our calculation. If that is the case, we will release a new version. Um, and those can be as small as, there is a small issue with a recently released state amended energy code, they can also be more impactful. So those are some of the reasons new algorithm versions happen. The primary driver is ResNet and other organizations that have programs that are being updated. That's the main thing that drives these versions. And we put forth a lot of resources. We have basically a whole development team dedicated to keeping up with these um, you know, algorithm updates. So we invest quite a lot in these updates. So how do these versions work? What's in Ekotrope version number? So I pulled, this screenshot here. This is at the bottom of your page in Ekotrope RATER, and it said version 5.0.2.3793. So we've already talked a bit about the build number. This 3793 at the end, that is the build number. So that is not impacting compliance. That is just the build of Ekotrope for that day. That build number often will change up to 3 to 4 times a week as we release small tweaks. Um, Version 5.0.2, that is the algorithm version, the energy calculation version. So what do those numbers mean? 5, this is a major version. This will typically impact the HERS score for many projects and impact a lot of different parts of the energy calculation. Scores may move up or down significantly. Uh, the main driver here is the ANSI 301 standard. So uh, ANSI 301 2019, that is correlates to Ekotrope version 4. When we moved to Ekotrope version 5, that was us updating our software to comply with ANSI 301 2022. So that's the driver there. Um, the 0, this is a minor version indicator. This is a typically a smaller change that only impacts a specific set of projects. For instance, when we went from version 5.0 to 5.1, that was us in supporting ANSI 301 addendum C and E, and it specifically impacted homes with CFIS systems as ventilation and other homes that either had exhaust only or no ventilation strategy and hit a certain infiltration rate that caused an adjusted infiltration for their HERS score. So those are both updates, that were required by ResNet on a specific timeline. And that's why they were really built and released in Ekotrope. And then the 2, this last number, this is a patch version. And this is a very, very small change that impacts a region or a specific reference home. And it likely only makes compliance easier. Patch versions we typically don't release if they will make compliance more difficult. Um, this would be something like, oh, there is like something we did this year. There was a small tweak in the Iowa energy code that they wanted us to tweak how our infiltration QA check worked. That's a very small change that we're happy to support, but it is going to impact results, so we have to release a new version. That's why we do it as a patch version. It will only impact a very small sliver of projects. So that's what those numbers mean. Um, so, what resources are there when there's a version change? Some of the ones that exist currently are the version release notes. So this is on our in our help documentation in Ekotrope. You can search version release notes, and it outlines every change that's in each version. It's typically kind of just a high level summary, but if you specifically had a question about this first one, about hey, what's happening? Why am I getting an error for custom clothes washers or dishwashers? feel free to reach out to support at Ekotrope and we can get answers. Or if you're interested in knowing about like why a specific project is seeing the results that it's seeing, that's definitely something we can look into and provide context on. So this is one resource. Another resource is anytime we do a major or a minor change, so going from version 4 to version 5 or going from version 5.1 to 5.2, we do publish a fairly extensive blog which details the specific changes that are being made. So this is 5.0 to 5.1. I was talking about CFIS systems and the infiltration, addendum C and E. And it goes over what those changes are, how they're going to impact homes, and then we also run simulations on a large set of homes across the country to kind of see the estimated impact. Like for this change, 75% of homes with a CFIS system had their score change by a point or less. But 25% of them had a larger impact. So these are resources that exist, and we publish them before these versions leave beta, so they're available. Obviously, every project is different, and you know these are large trends. They aren't, we're happy to dig into one specific project and try to help answer any questions you have about that project. But this is a really good resource. They're available on our website, ekotrope.com. You can find our blogs there. So I want to give a few other updates here. Uh, we're generally we're generally in favor of trying to develop a more consistent and deliberate um, release cadence for versions. No, the fundamental, relationship in our industry is the builder and the rater, and having so many version updates really can undermine that relationship because scores are changing um, too frequently. And we understand that's very disruptive, and we're pushing to um, develop a more standardized approach to version release that we're excited about. Uh, but again, these kind of need to go through the ResNet processes and things like that. Um, I will say specifically around wall orientation, that was a required update from ResNet based on all of the feedback we received from users. Uh, we were able to, share that with the ANSI 301 committee and get that specific addendum delayed. So specifically for wall orientation as a minimum rated feature, there was a interim addendum released that basically paused that being a required field. Um, and we should know very soon if that uh, temporary addendum is going to become official. But we're advocating in these groups to try and reduce the number of updates or at least make them more deliberate, give raters more lead time so they can really be prepared for these updates. I think they are inevitable, but they don't need to be as frequent as they have been. So, um, all right. Uh, let's keep moving. So I did want to share a few batch actions that you may have missed. Ekotrope, we're in going through our annual survey feedback. A number of things came up, which are things that Ekotrope already supports. So wanted to spend some time sharing some of those in case you weren't aware. So the first one I'll share is generating sample sets. Excuse me. And what this tool does, so first, batch actions. If you're on the My Projects page and you select multiple projects, you go down to the bottom of the screen and click Batch Actions. There's a menu there. You select Generate Sample Set. This tool was designed to support ResNet sampling protocol, so primarily for multifamily homes. Um, but it can really be used as a way, it can really be used as a tool to do batch project copying. So uh, basically, the way it works is you select those projects and then you can create copies of that project, of each of those projects, with unique project info. So let's say you give, some base models and then you have a new development and okay, I'm building 10 uh, type A's, 5 type B's, and 12 type C's. You can create those address specific models by using the sample set generator. There is help documentation on how to set up this spreadsheet, but the process involves downloading a spreadsheet, filling it out with the information you want, and then re-uploading it, and it will create those projects for you. It's a very powerful tool. Give it a shot. Um, Another one is the batch export and the project details CSV. These are both very useful tools. Again, if you select a bunch of projects, I'll start with the project details. So the project details is basically a spreadsheet that will be emailed to you, which has the project info for all of the projects you've selected. So it'll have the address information, the rater of record information, the um, utility uh, field, rating dates, all that kind of high level project info. Um, Another useful tool about the project detail CSV, if you um, just create a filter in the My Projects page, like let's say I said builder, DR Horton, state, Texas, um, status unregistered, and I wanted to just pull all of those projects. I could just put those parameters in and then run a project details, and it will automatically show it can automatically send a project details for all of those projects in that search parameter. You don't actually have to like select all of them. So that's a useful tool for the project details, especially if you want to create um, very large exports. The batch export CSV does not support this, but that's because it's slightly more powerful. It just wouldn't be reasonable to have that. The batch export is more on the not the project level, but the building design level. So the batch export will show information from like the quick results panel, like HER score, Energy Star compliance, target, ERI target, um, what type of cooling and heating and hot water system a home has, information from the building design. So if you wanted to pull that on a large batch of projects, you could do that. Um, but both of those are very useful. Uh, and yeah, you should give them a shot if you haven't. Another often underutilized tool is the ability to do math in Ekotrope. Um, if you can type in math equations and into cells in Ekotrope, and it will automatically run that calculation. So in this example, I had my measured flow rate and I typed 50 plus 45, and it automatically summed it to 95. I mean, you can do that for multiplication, division. You can get as complicated as you want. But it's a nice little tool. I used ventilation specifically, maybe I'm doing a projected model and I'm running my ASHRAE 62 calc. So this is 3 bedrooms and a certain amount of square footage, and I'm just doing that calculation in RATER. So this is a nice little trick that people might not be aware of. Um, all right. Oh, I had a screenshot here. It looks like it didn't come in. This is one I know we released an update yesterday to the how the component library looks. We will be updating that so that the entire name of the component is shown. In the meantime, if you use your cursor and you hover over the component name for a second, it will show the full component name. You don't have to open up the component to see that. So just wanted to make you all aware of that. Sorry, this was a late addition to the presentation, so sorry it didn't make it in here. Um, okay, we've talked about 2025, talked about versions. Um, I think there will be more updates with what we're doing around versions soon. Okay, what is planned for 2026? So some of the projects we have planned for 2026, we're working on more AHRI integration, more product listings. We just launched product listings for mechanical equipment. We'll be adding some UI improvements to the window page. We'll be expanding batch modifications to include mechanical equipment. We'll continue supporting state amended codes, working on app performance and stability, and much more. Few other communication improvements we're planning to do. This webinar is one. We haven't really done a webinar like this before. Um, we're gonna also start doing webinars anytime a major or minor algorithm version is released to kind of go over what homes is it going to impact, what is the expected impact of this change. It'll be a little more uh, energy modeling specific topics. But we want to do more to share about algorithm changes. And then I do want to call out our newsletter. So we send a newsletter every month, um, and it comes from the email info@ekotrope.com. If you aren't receiving it, feel free to reach out. Pretty much anyone with an active Ekotrope account should be signed up for it, unless you've actively unsubscribed. But it has a lot of really useful information, and it's just once a month. So um, it's a really good resource if you want to know what's going on with Ekotrope. Okay, I do want to talk about mechanical product listings. So, like I've mentioned a few times, we've just released mechanical equipment product listings. Um, we've released it for Daikin heat pumps and Goodman air conditioners. Uh, it works in a lot of the similar ways that it works for mechanical ventilation. Basically, you can open up a tray uh, and search based on, a SEER2 value or a, HSPF2 or a model number or an AHRI number. Um, we expect there to be more product listings for mechanical equipment in the coming months. There may also be some product listings on the envelope page as well, but we'll see. So we're expecting this to continue, and we think this will, dovetail quite well with some of the AHRI integration work we're doing, where if you enter in a model number, we're going to search to see um, if we can find that AHRI, and then also do we have that product listing. So, the user will still have full control over all these things, but we're just trying to make some of this paperwork process easier. Um, yeah, I think that's about it in terms of the presentation. I'll also say, we are continuing to build out Ekotrope Onsite, our new inspection app. So that will continue to grow throughout the year. And we're always happy to talk about that. If you're interested in learning more, that's going to, also integrate pretty well with this, where if you take, a photo of your model number, you could potentially go from that photo to an AHRI in Ekotrope very, very quickly. So pretty excited about that. Um, all right. And yeah, we should have, I guess the only thing, I don't know if I mentioned this, but wall orientation, we should have some updates on that in the next few weeks. So, all right. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate you guys taking the time. We do have time for questions, and it looks like we have quite a few. So that's great. And yeah, keep your eyes out for the newsletter. We're working on improving the app and making the new algorithm experience more consistent and less disruptive to the industry. Um, and you know, all of our almost all of our priorities are set based on user feedback. So, every week we go through any new request we've received that week. So, um, please keep sending us feedback, keep filling out our surveys. It really helps. And you know, that's how we prioritize what we work on. All right. Auden, are there any questions that you think we should talk about here?
Yeah, we got a lot of questions now, especially at the end.
Great.
So I think since we have the time, we should go through some of them. First one here is from Jamison Lens. Would like to see a way to archive old files that have been registered so they don't show up in my list of projects. I realize I can sort by last modified, builder, city, etc. Would still be nice to not have so many files to sort through. It's more
Um,
common.
yeah, I think that's a great idea. Um, there's, we, I think part of the reason we haven't done that is, you do have the ability to sort by last modified, so they should always show up at the bottom if you don't want to see them. But that is something we've had requested a number of times, and I think you know there's a few ideas we've had with the My Projects page, whether it's archiving projects or the ability to mark projects as like template projects, things like that. Um, being able to group projects if it's like a multifamily project or in a sort of specific community development situation. Um, but uh, we haven't we haven't uh, prioritized that as highly as some of the other improvements yet. But yeah, great idea.
Great, thank you. One more here.
We
About the sample set generation. Asking, would you be able to provide a screen recording of how to import a general sample set to create multiple addresses?
yeah, I think we actually have a video on our YouTube page of showing how to do this. I'll have to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure we did one. Um, yeah, so if you go to our YouTube page, there should be one there. There's also if you just click on the sample set generator, there's a help document that kind of walks you through it step by step. So between those two things, I think you should be able to figure out. And then if you're running into any issues at that point, feel free to email us, support@ekotrope.com, and we can help troubleshoot from there. Um, okay, I do see a question about combining both reports into just one. I think that relates to the project details and the batch export.
Mhm.
Um, right now, we don't have the ability to combine both of those, but you can always they kind of come from different parts in our app. One is from the project, the other is from the building design. Um, but you can pull both reports for the same list of projects and just, copy and paste into the same spreadsheet. So that's definitely possible. Um, so yeah.
Great. There is one here about QA. Are there potential updates being added to Ecotrope for QA notifications, such as automatic notifications to iterators for need revision items on a weekly basis or other timed scheduled until remedy?
Yeah, so I think this may be coming from a QA track user. This is a that is a feature we have in QA track. And yeah, right now, we're um, focusing on having QA track match the recently released updates to Kibana and sort of the new ResNet plan for QA there. But I definitely think we'll be updating QA track with some new features. So I think that's a great idea, being able to set reminders when QA needs to be resolved. Um, yeah, I do see a question here from Maston, specifically about the mechanical equipment for Goodman and Daikin. Yeah, I can demo that real quick, Maston. Just give me one moment. Um,
Well, you get that already. I saw also James Warden had a tip about the filtering, where you can sort and filter by unconfirmed projects, which will then please remove all of that once they are submitted to ResNet.
yeah, absolutely. So our new product listings for mechanical equipment, I think this may have gone live yesterday. Um, Basically, you click on product listings and it opens up a tray here. Um, and right now we support are you seeing the drop down one? Okay. Wasn't sure
Yeah.
how it works for Zoom. So um, right now we only support heat pumps and air conditioners. Um, we support Daikin and Goodman air conditionings and Daikin heat pumps. You can sort by uh, HSPF here. You can search by model number. So let's say I said DH9. Um, and then, maybe, you know, 24 kBTU system, fairly small one there. But yeah, you have all this information and then you basically can click apply. It creates a component library. There's a new color here, so it's blue instead of basically it's white if it's nothing, it's green if it's verified. It is now blue if it is product listed. And if I go ahead and click edit, um, it shows all the same information. Basically, everything is read only except for backup fuel type and cutoff temperature, because that will vary based on the installation. But everything else is pretty much locked down. And uh, you know, Daikin and Goodman have, looked through our implementation here and approved this. So it is again just helping automate the uh, modeling process. And then we also have our AHRI link right here if you wanted to go ahead and open up and download the AHRI certificate. Okay. Um, what's up next, Auden?
Um, I have one here about window shades. Can automated window shades be modeled today?
Automated window shades? No. You can either model windows with shading or without shading. Those are the options. But that's the type of thing that, if that's the type of thing that could be included in like a ResNet ANSI addendum, where there could be a new addendum on, hey, we need to figure out how to model automatic window shades. And then we would be, you know, sort of said, hey, you need to support this. So that's kind of when in the last year, we've released the ability to model eaves. That was as a result of ANSI 301 2022. That was a new field that was included there. We needed to support it. So that's like how these updates happen, and how these things are typically included. Sometimes we will go out of our way to, or there will be kind of other projects, reasons to include new fields. But typically, any new field you see in Ecotrope is as a result of a uh, request from a code or a program or ResNet.
Yeah, thank you. And related to that, from anonymous attendee here, anything on embodied carbon or batteries?
Oh, my favorite topic. Yeah, so batteries, I believe we are planning to support. There was a ResNet addenda around battery storage. We are planning to support that, I believe, in the next year. Um, and that's very exciting, especially for places that have quite a bit of solar. In terms of embodied carbon, we may have some updates there. We did a study. We helped participate in a study in Massachusetts, which will be we will be part of a presentation at the ResNet conference next month, where we'll share out on that and what that process was like. We don't have much beyond that at this point related to embodied carbon, but we'd be very excited to um, have more of it implemented into our software. We think there's a lot of crossover there. One of the takeaways from that study was about 60 to 70% of the inputs required to do a um, ResNet 1550 embodied carbon model are already captured by the HERS rating minimum rated features. So we're already doing the majority of the work there. It's just a few extra steps, mostly around concrete, around like, uh, footers and pieces of concrete that aren't really captured in the current energy model. Um, yeah. What else, Alden?
Let me see. There are a few comments about other software systems closing down the export. So one person asked if there's five resident approved softwares, can we import from other than Rembrandts right now, specifically the newer ones, and if there's any intent for us to allow that.
Um, I don't believe we support we have a rem rate importer and exporter, and we have an importer and exporter for energy or maybe just an importer for energy gauge. We don't have any integrations with other softwares. Um, I will say we are in the process of supporting, and this will be another update in the coming months, integrations with manual J softwares. So both Elite and RightSoft. We, depending on what version of those softwares you have, we may already support an integration with them, but we're working with them to uh, support an integration where you can go directly from your manual J into an Ekotrope model. So those are the next integrations on our to-do list.
Yeah. Here's maybe a more complicated one. Also wondering if you could add support for the geo AHRIs. They are more complicated and have partial and full load ratings for multiple types, GLWP, and two others I can't remember. I usually model conservatively, typically the worst efficiency, but the actual performance somewhere between part and full load is reasonable, but where in the middle is somewhat up to research. And we have a help screen for this, they said, but they can't find it right now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we do support ground source heat pumps. That's where I would expect you to model a ground loop system. Yeah, I mean, I would say typically those types of systems that are a little more unique, please reach out to support at Ecotrope, and we can come up with strategies to model them that are repeatable. And a lot of times those conversations and support can turn into help articles down the road so that other folks can use those same methodologies. Um, I don't know that we specifically have ground loop systems or further support of those on the roadmap for 2026. But um, again, that's like something where it would potentially require algorithm updates and things like that to add support of those types of systems. So it's um, I don't think we have that on the roadmap for the next year. But we would love to support them eventually, I think. Um, yeah.
I see
Um,
there's one follow-up here on the XML import exports. I can just answer like we're not officially working together with Rembrandts and Energy Gauge on this, so they changed their version and then we have to update our importer. And that's why like sometimes it fails. Uh, but we are continuously updating these to try to make them support the newer versions.
Yeah, and please let us know if you run into any issues there, because we have tools that can troubleshoot, hey, why is this file not being able, why can you not import this file? And we can typically troubleshoot around that. So yeah. Uh all right. Yeah, any other show?
There was one here about thermostats. If you consider adding a duplicate option instead of just a plus. add a new one since they often
Hmm.
are the same.
Yeah, great idea.
Well, we consider it now, that's for sure. Thank you for that. And then maybe at the end, Patrick, can you tell a little bit about, there's been several questions about what we do with these webinars, if we can link to the
Oh, yes.
slides.
Webinars are always posted on our YouTube page. So you just search Ekotrope on YouTube. We have a channel there, and all these webinars get posted. We will send a follow-up email to everyone who's attended and anyone who registered and didn't attend with a link to that YouTube video. So typically, I'll try to get the YouTube video posted today. The link might not get out until tomorrow. But yeah, that's how it goes. Uh, yeah, thank you all for all these great questions. And Yes, keep them coming, and we'll keep working on our you know, mechanical equipment batch updates and all sorts of things, and we'll um, we're trying to continue to communicate what we have going on, what's going on in the industry, because we know it's important for folks. So with that, I think we'll call it there. But appreciate it, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.